From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, Burbank. Craig Sherwood here. Not on camera. There we go. Now I'm on camera, too. I like that. Craig Sherwood here, along with, of course, the infamous Ross Benson.
As I always say, tally ho, let's mow. It's the week that was, the week that will be for March 25th. And I'm trying to do three things at once. I don't know if I can do this.
You're going to do fine.
Okay, here we go.
So, let's go on. We'll start off with last week's winner. Our word of the week was police. And seemed to be a very popular word. We had a lot of entries. But our winner was Mick Belker. So, Mick, very appreciate you listening. You did not send your address in, so please send in your address so we can send you that $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe, and you go get yourself a little bit of dinner one night. Or lunch, maybe.
I wonder,
or breakfast.
Easter's coming up. Go up there for Easter.
Is it open on Easter?
I would think. Restaurants, yeah, I would. You would think.
Don't just check for. Well, you know what? You might get the card in time for Easter, right? I usually send them out. I send them out the day you send me the address. So.
Okay.
All right. Also, last week we put out our first. Ross and I got together, and we'd been talking about this, about doing our. As Craig Durling used to call it, every time we got into a subject, he goes, "Guys, you're going down the rabbit hole again." Well, you know what? We did it. We're doing a series called Down the Rabbit Hole, and we're doing our first one on restaurants. In fact, here is the opening of it in case you want to take a little look at it here. On screen there?
It's time for another edition of Down the Rabbit Hole, where the staff of My Burbank Talks discusses topics from Burbank's past or dives deep into the history of the city. Now let's see what's on the agenda today as we join our show.
Hello! And there we go. So that's our Down the Rabbit Hole show. We did it on restaurants, and we didn't know how far we would get, and we got through A through L on part one. That's why you'll see part one on there, and it's on YouTube right now. You should check it out. Very popular too.
Well, we started A through L, and then I'm dumbfounded by the number of restaurants that we passed up.
We missed a lot of restaurants. People, and people in a nice way are letting us know, and we want you to let us know, because we're going to do part two, which is restaurants from M through Z, and then we're going to do a part three. The restaurants we missed.
Yeah, that list
which might be longer than the other one, for all we know.
I'll tell you, you start thinking about restaurants that have come and gone in this city, we've had a whole mess, so.
And a lot of people, had a restaurant that they really liked a lot that maybe wasn't on our radar, but they remember maybe from growing up or something, but it's a very popular series. We put a lot of work into it. If you watch the video, you'll see a lot of old restaurants on there where we found some old shots and stuff. Even threw a 1950s video on there, which showed the old configuration of the Riverside Alameda intersection all the way up through Bob's, IHOP, and King's Arms.
That was a good one, showing that video. Going through that list, I could smell the restaurants when we came up with a couple, like, the salad bar, Marie Callender's. We haven't gotten to M's, but, you think of, the different IHOP. You walk in there and you smell pancakes.
Yeah.
Or you walk into certain places and you get hungry for that certain burger or whatever they had there.
In fact, you found a great picture of Clint's, which will include probably our third show as we go back and talk about that, So, that's probably the only picture existence of Clint's.
That was an oldie, and that was the second owner, Clint.
Yes.
The first one, the guy was pretty, wasn't very humorous.
No, he wasn't. He was kind of, little chubby guy.
A little gruff.
Yeah, and he was grumpy. You should have called it Grumpy's and not Clint's, maybe.
Yeah. But he did know how to make a darn good burger.
Yeah, you know what, though? That's what counted.
That's right.
I wasn't going there for his personality. I was going there for his burger.
That's right. And there's, different places around town, they had their different feel. Like, what was the one on Hollywood Way? The
here you go. How's the memory doing?
It was where next to Porto's now. The steak place. You walk in there and you could smell that char grill, and it's just making me hungry. Let's move on.
Let's move on. But I was thinking that was something. Yeah, no, I was thinking something else. Okay, let's move on to last Tuesday. We actually you attended a ribbon cutting at Providence St. Joseph Medical Center for their new urgent care. So
yeah, that they've been open since October, but they did the ribbon cutting this last week. I guess they wanted to get all the bugs worked out. This is right next to across the street or across the alleyway because it's on St. Joe's property of the ER. And the purpose of the urgent care is there's so many people that go into the emergency ward for a splinter or a cut that just needs,
And why wait 4 hours in an emergency waiting room when you can go into urgent care and it's a lot cheaper?
A lot cheaper. And that's what I learned. Even though it says Providence St. Joe's, it's run by Facey Medical Group. Not Providence, but that is a division of Providence now, I guess. So they had a ribbon cutting. The mayor was there. And a lot of officials. They had some great snacks.
We like snacks. Always like snacks.
Oh, they had the best bagels. And a nice little display, a layout. Got some tours. Maybe 30 or 40 people there at 8:30 in the morning.
Well, what's it like when there's one digit on the clock? I wouldn't.
Well, you know me. I'm up all night.
Yeah, but you have one digit on the clock all night, too.
So when I had to get up, get showered and shaved, and comb my hair, oh, that's right. I got no hair to comb. So...
Well, and then that night there was a council meeting. Not a whole lot going on. There was people were. I think the biggest thing on the agenda I paid attention to was they approved a 5-year economic development strategy plan. And of course, once again, we had an outside firm do it, and they sound like they knew what they were doing. They sound like they knew the city. We would love to get a copy of that report because the council kept saying what a great paper it was printed on, a glossy, fancy paper. And I guess if you give a company $50,000 to make a report, they're going to give you a fancy paper. So I'd love to see a copy. I watched it on I looked at it on the agenda on the website. I found, and we touched on it last week shortly, but I found things on it, they want to support small businesses. And they want to support, things that, and have a concierge system. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you guys want to do that, but are you going to do it? Number one, are you going to hire the people you need to hire to have them in place? And, as an example, you and I were both talking the other day, we're talking about restaurants. We're talking about the old Tin Horn Flats location, which is going to be, I think, called Magnolia House now once it's, right. Yeah, but the guy bought it a year ago, and he still can't get it open. Now, how is that helping a small business in Burbank? He's been, I guess, fighting, all kinds of stuff on there and trying to get things through and inspections and whatever it is.
Well, you kind of wonder. I know, it takes long to do inspections or do any work on the pizza place right down the street that opened down there, or Bagel Boss. They said they were going to be open in March, now it's April. You kind of wonder. But it was a good read. It's a long read. People wonder what I do at night. I read that whole plan. It was very, very well written. And you don't realize some of the things that they have in it is, they think down the road. It's a 5-year plan. Nobody knew the pandemic was going to hit us. But now you think of things that are being moved into Burbank. The Warner Brothers 21st Century Project, all the people that'll be in that building, the new where Bob Hope, that just got approved. And
thanks for the memories.
Thanks for the memories, exactly. We'll have to find Bob. And
yeah.
It's funny you say that because I just found a picture.
Does Bob Hope?
Bob Hope up at the Bowl, at one of the shows up at the Bowl.
Okay.
Mr. Hope himself. So it's a good read, and if you wonder how well the city is kind of planned, Mary Hamzoyan, who runs our, and she's the one that gave the report, quite well written and you can learn a lot about our city, and it's financially or physically, financially kind of laid out what they expect, and it's just amazing. Bed tax. There's a lot of beds. What did you call it? Butts and beds?
Butts in the beds.
Well, that raises a lot of money.
Yes, it does. And that's why they're very happy. A lot more hotel rooms on the horizon. In fact, we have the Cambria Hotel opening up, the grand opening next week.
Yeah, and the project that we talked about, I think last week, behind the Marriott.
Right.
For a couple hundred rooms.
Yeah. Was it 300 rooms or something?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah.
I
those are butts and beds.
Well, I have heard more than once that people prefer to stay in Burbank. The crime rate in Hollywood, the crime in, L.A., people like Burbank.
People just don't realize. They say, oh, no, I want to stay in Hollywood. They don't realize that they don't really make many movies in Hollywood. Actually, the city of Hollywood. It's more of a front. They make the movies here in Burbank.
We are the media capital of the world.
We are. And right next to Universal City, which is unincorporated, not a city, of course. It's a city, but it's unincorporated. Los Angeles does not control Universal City.
Right. L.A. County.
L.A. County does.
But in that report, they talk about, the amount of people that are coming out here to visit.
Yeah. Well, when the Olympics come in 4 years.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was going to ask a couple of our council members, when are we going to start talking about the Olympics in 4 years?
Yeah.
What, in 3.5? Are we doing anything special in Burbank for the Olympics?
That's a good point. So anyhow, they passed the plan. Everybody was happy. We want to see a copy of that nice glossy report so we can gaze at it. Wednesday.
Uh-oh.
The police commission met.
Who?
Now, the police commission. Yes. This is my last time I'm going to get into the police commission because you know what? I've had it. I'm frustrated. It just doesn't do any good. Nobody cares. It's just a front for a PR wing of the police department. The city can say they have a police commission that does absolutely nothing. But they brought up on their agenda 6 months after it happened about encryption of the radios. It's important to us as news media. And so I wrote a letter to the commission, and I go to send it on Monday. Well, actually, over the weekend, and I couldn't find anywhere to send it. So Monday morning, I contacted the city clerk's office. I talked to Kim Clark. Kim, I can't find, because you send an email to the council. There's an address, and it goes to all the council members.
Right.
I go, Kim, I can't find an address to send this letter to the police commission. And she goes, oh no, you got to send it to the liaison. I go, and who is that? She goes, well, at the police department. And I'm going to myself, so I have a letter that's critical of the way the police department is doing their policy, and I'm now going to send that letter to the police department so they would give it to their commissioners. Well, I sent it on Monday. I went and watched the meeting, and of course they were as Tweedledee and Tweedledum as always when we talked about the subject, and whatever the PD told them, it's okay, that's great. Oh yeah, we agree, yeah. And then they said at the end of the presentation, they go, for the record, we want you to know that Craig Sherwood from My Burbank sent in a letter and about this subject. And I go, oh, well, we never received that. And they go, yeah, well, we put it in we made some copies of it. It's out front. And they go, well, we can't comment on it because none of us have read it. And I'm going, so 2 days, they couldn't email them the letter? They couldn't give them any kind of a package that had information in it? No. So the letter I wrote, meaningless. And they basically just, once again, where's the rug? Pick it up, throw it under the rug. And it's just, everything's great now. So you know what? I'm done. I complain constantly about that commission. I'm done complaining about it. I'm done talking about it. I've had it. You know what? Let them have their PR wing. That's all it is. It's a PR wing for the police department. Whatever they say is hunky-dory and fantastic.
Well, I watched the meeting also, and I played it back once. What got me is, it was still brought up, and the fire department going to encryption? No. Firefighters, they've learned you kill firefighters with radios that are on different channels and can't talk to people.
Well, they didn't say that.
No, they didn't. But
No,
that's
they didn't
the
say
reason.
that. Yeah, that's the reason.
They've learned.
You and I know that, but they didn't bother explaining that to the commission.
You know, the other thing I would like to see, they really pointed, DOJ wrote us a letter. I want to see that letter. I want to see a copy of a letter.
That they wrote saying you have to encrypt all your channels.
Correct. They did that. Burbank has been encrypted.
For 5 to 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So they didn't need to encrypt anything. But they're using that as an excuse.
Well, and like I have said, what we have learned, that if you pointed it out, if they have an emergency on one channel and another emergency goes out, they go to 3.
And we can't hear what they're talking about.
And what I've learned is listening to it, they go to 3 all the time. So
yes. And by the way, all the parking control works on 3.
But we can't hear anything on 3. So
and the one thing I did say in the letter, which I really hope, I hope to God never happens, but I said you've got 2 major train tracks in Burbank, you've got 2 major freeways going through Burbank, you've got an airport in the city, and you have 2 studios that could be targets. Lord knows if something were ever happen here, a plane crash, or anything happened here in Burbank, how do you know that all these agencies can now talk to each other? Right now it's all great because nothing's ever happened. But wait till it happens, and we'll see what. I don't know. So I gotta say, I'm. They did say that there is a senator, a California state senator, working on a bill to allow the news media to hear live broadcasts. So we will see how that passes through the.
He had written a bill before and it didn't pass, and he's reworking it.
Yeah, I'm sure every police department was against it. Police departments, I don't care what they say about transparency, they love not telling you things. They love it.
Well,
we sent an email in about a crime last week. It was last week. We still haven't heard anything. Oh, detectives, we'll talk to detectives and let you know later. Well, what does that mean? We want to know now.
Well, that's the thing. People don't understand. News happens 24 hours a day. It used to be the paper would come out at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you had, the whole next day to...
Oh, and the leader would come out once a week. So you'd have 2 or 3 days and it wouldn't matter. Because
we have people, we have over 51,000 Twitter followers that want to know what's going on in Burbank now. A good example, the other night, I cover the night shift for Burbank, and a UPS plane...
I heard that I saw that on Twitter. Everybody was wondering what was going on with that.
Well, at 4 o'clock in the morning, when you hear a jet up on the hill, it sounds like it's coming in your back door and out your front. And I'm going, who the heck was that? So I look on flight radar, and it's a heavy, an Airbus 300,
right,
that missed approach.
And basically, aircraft come in across the valley and land at the airport going west to east. You know what runway number that is offhand?
Runway 8.
Okay, so they come in runway 8. And
that is, what's known as the ILS,
right,
instrument landing. They hook up to it.
Right. And for some reason, whatever the situation is, if they got a wind gust or whatever it is, they need to do a go-around, well, they throttle up and they run right over the airport, over the runway, and go back up in the air and circle around. Well, when they do that, they're coming right over the hill area of Burbank, over Glen Oaks and all that. So, and especially that big UPS plane.
I can hear those.
It's called a heavy.
That's why they are known as heavies when you listen to radar or watch radar. And he took off. He went over, and went out over Calabasas again.
Right.
Lined up for ILS runway 8. Southern California approach, told him, you're clear for... He said, let's try this again.
Second time was a charm.
But I'll tell you, I was awake. I know a lot of people on our Twitter said...
Well, especially if you're not used to hearing a jet engine.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're hearing one. You're going, what's going on here? So, anyhow, that's what we do. When we listen to the radios, we're listening for everything that goes on because, you know what? People have questions. People want to know what's going on in their neighborhood. People want to know what's going on in the city, and they turn to us. And if we can't get information...
That's why listen to air frequency the helicopters talk back and forth, the law enforcement. Everybody transitions the I-5. The new ships start off at about 4:30. I hear Channel 4 going up from Whiteman, then Channel 7 from Van Nuys. I watch them all, and they talk to the Burbank Tower. But I'll tell you, you get a lot more information. There's stuff going along the freeway. CHP are chasing people all the time.
Yeah, I was a pursuit the other day, and I just said, well, if you want to know where it is, look out your window, and you'll see 4 or 5 helicopters above it. And so
that crazy one for 2 hours?
Wait, CHP's not encrypted? No, I guess not. Right? We can hear them live.
That's great.
And they go into LAPD. And LAPD's not encrypted? Oh, okay. Yeah. According to our commission, no, everybody except for 4 departments is encrypted. I guess it's only the 4 major departments that aren't encrypted.
Well, last week you were telling me you were listening to one of the LAPD channels, and you heard SWAT calling it all
doing
out.
The whole operation. It was funny. They were talking in the police commission meeting. They gave the report, and they said they arrested somebody last month, and they found that they had the scanner app in their phone. I go, well, what would they have done with that scanner app? Because you couldn't listen to anything. You couldn't listen to it. So just because you have the scanner app, I mean, they're trying to make it look like that was the whole reason. I mean, they came with four circumstances in the last 2 years. I don't know. I'm done with the police commission. I'm done complaining about it. Good luck to all those people who serve on it, or all those people who are the yes men on it, and we'll go from there.
And then moving into, we had a real call.
Yeah, it's Thursday, and of course, once again, the reason that I was able to hear this call was I'm listening on the fire radio, and I hear respond to Viceroy Park for a stabbing, and they asked for 2 RAs, rescue ambulances, the paramedic squad.
And that's pretty unusual.
Yeah, for a stabbing. I'm going, what's going on? So I put a tweet out and I said, but you have to wait 15 minutes for us to find out from police what happened. And 15 minutes later, we heard that there was not an off-duty. There was an officer working a detail in the area for a movie job, and I guess he saw some woman, and from what I hear, she was naked running down the street chasing a guy with a bloody knife who had multiple stab wounds in his back or something, and they wound up at Viceroy Park.
Yeah, as I went out there afterwards and watched some other news stations' aerial footage, she ran out of a house right across from the park. The funny thing is, where he was working the movie job, they were shooting a scene of a stabbing.
That's hilarious.
Just. But if you think about it,
is that called art imitating life, or life imitating art?
That officer being there probably saved that man's life. Because if you think about the delay, and if Burbank paramedics were busy that hour, they're usually quite busy, So, and that turned into they arrested her for attempt murder.
And and I'm sure the DA probably gave her a ticket and said, go home and don't do that again.
Well, you kind of wonder.
That did not happen. She was...
well, but listen to the neighbors. They're just shocked.
Yeah. The man went in for surgery. Last I heard, he was in serious but stable condition. He's going to survive. But, holy cow. And that just shows you, you never know when it's going to happen or where it's going to happen. This we're talking, this is probably, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something? Or 11:30. I'm sorry, it's 11:30 in the morning. So 11:30 in the morning, and somebody's chasing somebody down the street with a knife. It's not like at 2 in the morning. Things can happen whenever they happen.
Well, and people don't. That's why I listen all night long. The same night, late in the morning, or 3:30 in the morning, some guys tried to drive into Gun World. If you go by Gun World today, it's all boarded up, and people are asking, what happened?
And I believe that we did send an email in to find out ourselves, and we're told we don't know anything. Detectives are working on it. Now, I'm not sure how the public learns anything that way, or what. All we want to know is, was anything stolen? Did they get?
Well, they never got in. They could not breach the place. It was a stolen car from Downey. The ignition was punched. It was a Kia. Excuse me. I don't know how anybody. Well, the 2 dummies that tried to do the burglary, they don't know that the city required gun world to put bollards in front of all their stores.
Explain what a bollard is.
It's a concrete pole that protects. Plus, they have a steel door. The place is pretty well armored.
Yeah.
But they
that's
couldn't
only
get
gun
in.
world. That's not the other, and that's one of the things they're going to pass with the new regulations is what kind of security they're going to do on the different gun stores. So hopefully they come up with something that's going to help, all the gun stores and keep them from, because that's how it is nowadays. You steal a car, you find a business, you ram the car into the business, you steal all the stuff. You know what? Doesn't matter if you have a scanner up in your phone or not. That has nothing to do with it. So, crime still happens. And by the way, they did not present. We asked the commission to ask the police what the crime stats were in the last 6 months since they went encrypted. And of course, here I go again. There's that rabbit hole. Okay, Friday. And once again, if you're checking out our different podcasts, My Burbank uses an accounting firm called CBIS Data Tax. Now, if you want to know what CBIS stands for, so do they, because they don't know either.
Don't you have to listen to the
you listen to the podcast and she'll tell you the story. But it's interesting. They've been there for a long time, but nobody can remember why it was called CBIS Data Tax. But there are accountants at my Burbank. We're very happy with them. And it's a local Burbank firm.
Well, right there at Hollywood Way in Alameda, I have driven by that building. In fact, I know somebody else that has 2 different offices in that building. I didn't know they were there.
No,
They've been in Burbank for many years.
Since 85, I think it was.
And how many times do you go through that intersection and you don't know? I know there's a farmer's guy, but...
Yeah, but they'll talk about, because it's tax season. And there's things you need to know about taxes. There's things you need to know what's going on. And it's a good, so it's a good podcast. I recommend you use them if you need an accountant. But they talk about a lot of things. So give that a listen. The Toluca Lake Chamber of Commerce, funny enough, had a mixer that same day in the same building that the accounting firm has. So that was a very busy place for them. Although we did the podcast here, but they went back to their office and went down a couple doors, and there was a Toluca Lake mixer. And you went to that, so
yeah, I covered that I shoot for the Toluca Lake Chamber, and they had like 35 to 50 people in there. There was, they have several rooms. There's an audio place upstairs, and that's who hosted it. And they had some new members join. And
I like that the Toluca Lake Chamber comes to Burbank for their mixer.
Well, that still covers part of Toluca Lake.
Okay, well, that's kind of it for last week. We're going to take a break here for a quick word, and we will be back with you in a couple minutes.
Enjoying the show right now? Thinking you may want to do your own podcast? My Burbank Talks is renting out our podcast studio on an hourly rate. You can do audio podcasts or both audio and video, and even bring in guests to talk with. We will help you get set up on podcast platforms and start a YouTube channel, and we can edit your productions to make you look and sound your very best. If you are interested, please drop us an email at studiorentals@myburbank.com. That's studiorentals@myburbank.com, and we will get back to you. Now, back to...
Okay, and we're back. Craig Sherwood here with you once again with Ross Benson.
Does that mean today's Monday?
All day and half of tonight.
Wow.
Let's get on with what's going on. So today the Planning Commission, they met at 6 o'clock. And one of the things they're going to do is talk about it getting a conditional use permit, which I'm finding, why would this place need a conditional use permit? But there's a pet grooming shop, it's a pet shop with grooming services that wants to go into 325 North First Street in the new development there. I guess the bottom floor is going to be retail, but they need a conditional use permit to put a pet store in there, which I'm thinking, I'd rather see a conditional use permit for gun shops more than a pet store.
But I think the conditional use permit, because it is a grooming type underneath residential,
So if a barber shop goes in there, they have to have a conditional use permit?
I'm not sure what the requirement is. I'm definitely going to read the report and look at tonight's meeting when we...
Yeah, I just found that it's kind of strange. You needed a...
In fact, I'm curious, how many people have driven down that street with those now retail places open across from...
Barney's Beanery, I think it is.
Barney's Beanery, yep. And if you haven't driven down that block, and a lot of people, I live on the hill. I come east and west, either go up Magnolia, go up Olive. What's the reason for me?
Well, if you want to go south, you might as well take First Street now because you can't take San Fernando.
Well, that's it. But there's a whole mess of businesses in those shops. And that was the reason.
Yeah. And that's good. That's part of our redevelopment down there. And, I'm sure, have they started renting the units out too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen, well.
Are they being occupied?
I believe so because I see lights on at night.
Well, sometimes lights are on, nobody's home. So, they also had a request to get a conditional use permit, another CUP, to allow the sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits for off-site consumption. In other words, you can go in and buy them. And on-site tastings at a Genie store that's going to be located at 140 South Glen Oaks. That's there on the east side of the street between Olive and Angelino. It's I think a little building that last I looked at it on Google Maps, there was no business in there. It was just a boarded up place. So maybe they're putting things together by now. I mean, Google Maps is sometimes very slow. In fact, I did a Google Maps of the Warner Brother Ranch, and all the sets were still there.
That's moving along.
So hopefully they, looks like they could, if you live in that area, can have a little retail store there, which is nice. So Tuesday night, tomorrow, that would be tomorrow. City Council is going to meet again. In the closed session, I find that in closed session, I guess they've got some employment problems because they have one case in the closed session is Argueta versus the city of Burbank. Another one is Bernard versus the city of Burbank. And a third one is Jesse Vasquez versus the city of Burbank. All about employment complaint cases. So what's that going to cost?
Oops.
We'd like to know what went wrong and how much are we going to pay for that as citizens. Once again, they will not tell us. I guess we'll have to go find court records and find out ourselves. And they're going to have a talk about the Guardians of the Pines versus the city of Burbank. That's the group that had sued the city to stop the removal of all the pine trees in Niagara. So I'm not sure, once again. And I guarantee they're going to say, nothing to report.
Well, they can't talk about it either.
Well, now if they make a decision.
Well, but...
Now, I'll give you an example. Last week, on the closed session, was about the city attorney's contract.
Right.
No reportable action. But yet, it's on the agenda this week. So...
Whatever.
They didn't come up with an agreement last week to what they're going to do, how they're going to pay him? Or is that they didn't agree to that last in closed session? So I guess something did happen in closed session. They just didn't, I guess their definition of nothing happening, well, it's going to go on a future agenda. Well, okay, but that's not, you're supposed to say if the council took any action that night. And I guess they did. They approved, the city attorney's new contract for a 7% raise. And I'm more than happy with that. He does a great job. I like our city attorney. I think he does a great job, but he's very protective. He's very protective.
Well, I think now with what...
I think he's encrypted.
I think what they, how he doesn't have to report on stuff and say how they... I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get, It's like it's, well, here's a little game we have to play, and we're going to play it.
Right.
They're also on the consent agenda. They're going to approve a right of entry agreement with the Los Angeles Philharmonic Association to provide shuttle services at the downtown Burbank Metro Station, which is really nice. That means if you need to go to the Hollywood Bowl to see a show, you can park at the Burbank Metrolink station downtown, and there's going to be bus service to take you to the Hollywood Bowl. So you have to deal with all that traffic and all that waiting. And the nice thing about it is during the Hollywood Bowl season, they're going to pay the city $4,500 a month to have the service there. So...
Well, if you
a
remember,
win-win for everybody.
they discussed this last year, and they
Right.
did it last year.
And it worked well.
I remember parking in the zoo and getting on shuttles going to Hollywood Bowl. Now,
I once parked at the old Universal Studios,
Right.
and then they built sound stages there. And
correct.
you could, but now that's the best they can do. And nobody's going to use the Metrolink at night anyway, so why not? Okay, so the city council is also going to vote to approve a contract for the annual sidewalk repair. And we have a new feature this week on our show where we can actually show you the zones that they're going to do. So we're looking at them?
We are.
Okay, so those are zones 15, 16, 17, and 18. The Public Works Department puts different zones together in the city. And I think these are the final zones, or maybe not. I'm not sure how high they go up to, but every year they use different zones and do repairs, like sidewalk repairs in those zones, and actually they'll pick a different, 4 or 5 zones.
Well, it's funny you talk about that because driving here, I noticed. I said to Maddie, "Wow, they're going to redo all these sidewalks because there's red paint and yellow paint, and so they are doing quite a bit of. I guess that's CBDG funds that they're probably from last year.
It's part of your tax money, the repaving roads and fixing sidewalks. So that's what keeps Burbank so.
That's where it was. Magnolia, where they took out tons of trees.
Yeah.
Almost all those sidewalks are getting now replaced.
Yeah. Well, they had to because those trees were bringing up the cement.
Yep.
The concrete. Here's one. Here we go. Look at this. The next thing on the agenda is they're going to actually fix the world's most dangerous elevator. But get this. So the elevator on the Oliver Road Path serving the Metrolink station is 26 years old. And it says one of the most heavily used within the city's elevator system inventory. So it's got a steel frame and all this stuff. So they need to fix the elevators. What they're going to do here. They're going to reglaze the waterproofing elements that are deteriorated and no longer watertight. It says the system has reached the end of its useful life. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And requires modernization. So the project includes restoration of the elevator tower waterproofing elements, building a stucco finish, a full roof removal and replacement, repairs and replacements to exterior tiles, stainless steel trim, and other aesthetic improvements, as well as painting the one pedestrian stair tower. The work will start in May and be done by, get this, it's going to take 11 months to do it. So it'll be done by April of 2025. And here's the kicker. To fix the elevator or replace it is going to cost us, the good old taxpayers, $1,429,019. And that's far higher than the $900,000 they thought it was going to be. And that's the lowest bid they could get.
So
close to $1.5 million to fix the elevator at the Metrolink station. Beautiful.
So they should put a sign on the front of the elevator. This elevator, not saying out of service, this elevator out of date.
Out of date.
26 years.
And the question is that, does that mean that elevator is going to be out of service for 11 months? Or is it still going to be usable while they're working on it? Or, because if it's out for 11 months, that means you've got to walk across the Olive overpass and walk back under the bridge to get to the Metrolink station if you're coming from downtown Burbank.
Unless they have you walk on the south side, and then there's that stairwell.
Yes, there's a stairwell. Yeah.
But again, for a handicapped person,
yeah,
those steps get real if you're going down.
If you're on that wheelchair, you might as well have a 4-wheel drive wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyhow, but at least that elevator is going to be fixed. Holy cow.
You know what gets me about that? When you say, they talk about the roof system. You remember with the police and fire headquarters?
Right.
How it leaked?
Yes.
Because the roof was not done properly?
Right. Well, how about the fact they put the windows in backwards?
So it just gets you that.
The city inspectors let them put the windows in backwards at the police and fire headquarters. And how much did that cost to have that whole thing redone because...
Oh, they went back, they sued that contractor.
Well, you know what? Those city inspectors who are stopping every business from opening up, if they would just have done their job properly there.
I don't know if inspectors
Well, yeah,
look that close at stuff.
Well, they sure do if you're a small business, or if you're doing an ADU at your house.
True.
I had a friend who was putting an addition to his house, and in his bathroom he had a electrical plug that was within 6 inches of where it should have been toward water. They made him rip that whole wall out and change where the plug went.
Well, that one I could understand because
6 inches.
But you have a kid in the
Right.
in a bathtub and with a toy. Oh, let me plug it in.
It was 5 feet. It was 4 feet and a half inches, and they wouldn't. And then there's 6 inches on it. It wasn't like it was right close to something. So it was just. I felt bad for the guy. They're also going to approve that we talked about the city attorney's new contract. Joseph McDougall is going to get a 7% annual salary increase each year. So they're not going to talk about it every year now. He's just every year he gets 7% salary increase, but he's not allowed to get higher than the city manager's pay, which I think makes sense. I mean, city manager is running the city.
But if you think about that, and I remember when Amy was there, they did a comparison of other cities Burbank size.
Right.
Plus, lawyers outside in the regular, public, they're paid totally, quite a bit less. So,
well, then they need more lawyers too. I got to tell you, if DAs make nothing. So maybe a DA should, decide to get into city government instead. Now, the big banana. Here comes the big banana now.
The big banana. Do we have a graphic or a sound effect for a big banana?
Well, we probably should. I could have a. That's all. You just have the gong.
I think that one is perfect for get everybody's attention because this one
is a major. Now, one thing a city council is supposed to do is protect the quality of life in a city and make the quality of life better for all citizens in the city. And they're going to be talking about they call the BRT system, the bus rapid transit system that the Metro wants to put in Burbank. They want to put a line in all the way from North Highway to Pasadena, running through Burbank, and they really, really want to take a lane of traffic away on Olive Avenue. In fact, once again, we've got our super duper. We can show you a map of it. In fact, I'm not sure this map is showing very. You can see really, the different routes they have on here, the different areas. Let me try to blow this up a little bit for you. See if I can get this a little bit larger. If you are watching, at least you'll have an idea of what they're looking at here. So, it wants to come off the freeway at Pass Avenue, and then take that route and go up. And it has different routes on here, too, which I'm trying to understand why the different routes are. And one of these, they want to go down Alameda, which I'm all for. Another one here is going to go right up Olive, right through the middle of the city. That means one lane of traffic, one empty lane for buses only. Now, I wrote a little editorial that's on our website, and hopefully you would take a read of it. My take is this, is that I drove all of... do you want to throw something there on, Ross?
No. I see the footage, and I drive that every day.
Yeah, well, I drove it the other day, just to go... I drove it like 4:30 in the afternoon. I drove up Olive from going eastbound, and after I passed Buena Vista, started to really get thick. I think I stopped initially around Parrish for the signal at Verdugo, and then the signal turned green, and then I got up to about Orchard and had to stop again and wait for another signal, and that was 2 lanes of traffic.
Well, that was the error right there. See, it should have stopped at Keystone because you should have run into St. Finbar and prayed you get the next mile.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what. If you put one lane in there, you're going to back traffic up probably onto the Barham Bridge. I'm serious.
Oh, I've driven Olive when they do construction
Yeah.
and they shut down a lane. My Burbank might have to start doing traffic reports on what streets to go down.
And here's the thing, too. Who's going to want to drive down Olive in all that traffic to go use a business there? If you got a business on Olive, and all of a sudden now it's like, I'd like to go, I can't deal with it. I can't deal with all that traffic. I can't even get across the side streets. It's going to be chaos. And this is what the city council has to decide on Tuesday night, is do they want to give Metro a lane? Now, I don't want people to think I'm not for public transit and green energy and saving, cars and everything else. That's not what we're discussing here. It's a quality of life issue, and it's an unproven concept. I don't know how many people, and I'm not sure how often the buses are going to run. If they're going to run every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, and a bus holds 40 or 50 people.
I thought I read in the report every 15.
15, okay. So if the bus is running at those times, that means that it's a lot of empty thing. Now, we're not against it, but you gotta show me that there's an interest in that route by riders. That you're gonna. And I say this: you got to fill a bus 75% full for it to be a proven concept. If it's like a Burbank bus now and got 2 people in it, I mean, yeah, Burbank bus can now use that route if they wanted to with all 2 people in it. The Burbank limousine.
But as I understand, the fire department can use it.
Right.
For emergencies. Bicycles can use it. I did read in there somewhere that it's allowed for bicycles. But what gets me about that is this, if they put that in, is it 24 hours? Meaning, you, at 3 a.m, can you go in either lane, or are you restricted to the one lane still?
No, I'll say it's about bicycles. I mean, once again, we like bicycle lanes, but Verdugo has a dedicated bicycle lane. And let's face it, how many bicycles do we really see on Verdugo? Not that many. I mean, we do see them. You see them occasionally, but maybe one an hour. So it's not like
Actually, when I lived at Frederick and Verdugo, I could look out my kitchen window, and if I was up early enough, there are between maybe 7 and 9. You see quite a few bicycles. People going to school.
Okay,
and so forth.
But what about?
And in the afternoon, you see it going the other way.
Well, but no,
about 4 o'clock.
Okay, but that's just those hours in there. And I'm not saying, once again, not against bicycles, but there is dedicated bike lanes on Verdugo, plus on Chandler. So, to me, the bicycle lanes is not a big seller on the Olive project. But what is, it's just the quality of life it's going to create. Burbank is a small city in a big metro area. And Olive is our main street. That's our main street in the city. In fact, when they put Burbank together and they started putting addresses out, if you really notice, every address that goes south of Olive is a south address. So South Parish, South Reese, whatever it is, every address on the north side of Olive is a north address. It's Olive separates north and south in the city of Burbank the way the I-5 freeway separates east and west. And that's our main street. That's our main drag in Burbank. Now, I've been looking at this too, and I'm thinking, okay, if it has to get off at Pass Avenue, why not go down Alameda? It's a residential area. It's got 2 lanes there. You can make 1 lane there into a bus lane. Residential, so there's more people who have access to the bus that way. Make a left on Victory, go up to Olive, make the right on Olive, and here's where, once again, they want to have the bus stop at Olive and Lake for the Metrolink station. Why not have the bus go under the Olive overpass, let people off, then instead of going back on the overpass up to Glen Oaks, go down Front Street, down to Alameda, make a left on Alameda, go up to Glen Oaks that way. I think it'd be a lot less impact. And plus, you get a station at the Metrolink station, too, a drop-off point at the Metrolink station. But this project, once again, they want to make it convenient for people. Then why is this project not going near the Hollywood Burbank Airport? Wouldn't that be a wouldn't there be a lot of people there who need to take a bus to Pasadena and to Glendale from the airport? Wouldn't that be a convenient thing for them? But I don't know how many people in North Hollywood need to go to Pasadena. I really don't. I can't see that as a destination place. So I know that tomorrow at City Council, before the meeting, Vision Burbank is going to have a large protest out there, trying to convince the City Council not to approve this. I've heard a couple now Transportation Commission members are arranging a counter-protest for the council to support this. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. If they feel strongly about it, they should have it. Just because they're on a commission doesn't mean they shouldn't have an opinion. If they're residents of the city, absolutely they should have an opinion and be able to voice it. But I think this is going to be a huge hot topic tomorrow. I want to see how it goes. And I'll tell you what, if you feel strongly about it, you can go to the council meeting and you can speak for the 3 minutes during oral communications, or watch the meeting at home, and they will open the phone lines to calls. Call in. Let them know how you feel, because there needs to be a lot of support one way or another against this. And right now, I have not heard much support in this whole thing. So Ross, what are your feelings and comments on this?
Well, first of all, if you're going to council tomorrow, I guarantee, because there's other hot things on the agenda, you might not be able to get a seat in City Hall. They probably will put you in the rotunda, and, because they limit.
And rotate you, but they will call your name and give you time to come speak.
Exactly.
They're not against people speaking.
No, and people, call in and so forth. But it's a hot topic. I know all the businesses are going to be there. I mean, I've seen posts on social media. I've seen business owners ask for their customers to come support and let the council hear it. So tomorrow night's meeting, I have a feeling might be an all-nighter.
They wanted Burbank. Burbank wanted them to say, okay, we're going to do this. Then you need to fix the yellow overpass for us and put a station up there so people can get to the Metrolink. And Metro says, no, we're not going to do that. And Metro also says, if we make improvements, if we judge that those parts of the pavement or whatever it is that we needed new pavement or something anyway, well, we're going to ask you to pay us back. And it's like, wait a second here.
Did you read the agreement with the council? That wording, if the city objects to this or that, or doesn't do this or that, if you don't turn your eggs over the right way, they can stop everything in the. And
that's just, are they going to blackmail us? Okay, guess what? You get no more buses in the city of Burbank. Are they going to blackmail us with our tax money that we pay our half-cent sales tax on different elections that we voted for that? That's how this is funded. Metro is our tax money through sales tax that we have a right to.
So my other question to that is, and I know I've posed it to you, if this doesn't work, will they go back to how it is today?
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Well, it's only paint.
Yeah, it's only paint. So I say two things. Number one, if this is if you really want to do this, let's do one of two things. Number one, and by the way, they never have done a traffic count of how much traffic is on Olive, which I think is criminal in itself. They should have a traffic count of how many cars traverse Olive, both east and west, on a daily basis, even an hourly basis. Okay, that should be, but that's not in their study whatsoever. But I say this. Number one, if you're going to do this, let's make sure the buses are 75% full, and you show that for 2 straight months or 3 straight months. The buses are going to be 75% full. Number two, another thing we could try is let's rope off temporarily with cones or whatever, 1 lane for a week. Just use cones and close 1 lane of traffic for a week and see what happens. See what happens with traffic. And if it becomes a cluster mess, then we need to, once again, it's not, that's not the project we need. There's a lot of other streets in Burbank that can go down. Going down Olive, our most heavily used street, our main street, and closing off a lane of traffic all the way to Glen Oaks, I'm sorry, I don't see it. If they want to have a mixed flow where they put put their buses along with traffic, fine. But until then, I can't see dedicating an entire lane of traffic for something that's not proven in any way yet. At least that's my...
Well, instead of pet peeve, that is a good rant, but it's also what's happening. We have gotten a ton of people that have commented to us.
Yes.
We've had letters to the editor. I've shot it. You know, for us longtime people that live here, you use Olive as a maiden thoroughfare.
And we're not scared we're not scared about change. We're not scared about the future. You know, we're just saying this is not a good idea right now until you have, you know, if you were saying, look, we have buses and buses just full of people who just can't get through it. Okay, I get it. You know, if they say, you know, we're going to put a monorail system in through your city. Okay, I get it. You know, or something, you know. But what's transportation going to be in 10 years? We don't know. If we ever got those damn flying cars they promised us back in the 60s, may not even be a situation now.
George Jetson, don't we have do? No, that's another one. Okay, but now is that for east and westbound or just for eastbound?
No, both ways.
Both ways. That's what I thought.
Yeah, you have one lane is traffic and one lane is buses on each side. And then if you want to get to a business, you got to go across the bus lane and park at the curb, and you know, and hopefully you can. I don't know. It's. I don't get it. You know, Burbank doesn't need this. This is not helping Burbank and Burbank citizens in any way. You know, I can't see how many people in Burbank need to travel into North Hollywood on this thing, or even how many people in Burbank need to travel into Pasadena on a daily basis. You know, we have 100,000 people in Burbank, and that number goes up to about 240,000 every workday.
That's that high, wow.
So that's a lot of people in Burbank, and that's a lot of cars in Burbank. So once again, no traffic studies were done or anything. Okay. City Council, we're watching. Ball's in your court. Remember, quality of life is what you ran on. So think about how Burbank citizens want that. Well, let's move on. So that's the council meeting. Let's move on to Wednesday. The Burbank Cultural Arts Commission, the Beautification Subcommittee, is going to meet at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Community Services Building, and they're going to talk about Phase 7 of the Utility Box Program. It's a very good program they run, and My Burbank has a box that we sponsored. At
Hollywood Way in Magnolia.
Hollywood Way in Magnolia. You go by and take a selfie with it.
Southeast corner, and it does say, you know, and I noticed somebody graffitied it again, and
You're kidding.
no, I'll have to call and see if they can get it.
They'll fix it, yeah. It's right by Crumble Cookies, right?
Yeah,
There we go.
good reason for somebody to stop there. That or they could try the new pizza place right there.
Yeah.
That's open.
And that didn't take long to open, did it?
No, pizza place before.
The Senior Citizens Board is going to get together and meet at 1 o'clock at not the Johnson Center, but the Tuttle Senior Center. Now, Tuttle Senior Center, of course, is on Ontario Street between Victory and, help me out, Pacific.
Pacific.
Pacific. It's right by where the fire department's training tower is, and the baseball field there and all that. You know, and the hockey stadium and the whole thing. So, Tuttle Center doesn't get a lot of love, but they're going to get. They're going to talk about the programs that are offered there and everything else, and it's a nice little center right there. But I don't know.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that it gets used by people in that neighborhood quite a bit.
Right.
But I remember we did some event years ago, and we used that center. I think it was elections or
No. We used to use it for with the fire department when they did their training or with the
rescue extrication.
right, and then they'd all go over there for lunch.
Right.
Yeah, I remember doing that. Yeah, it was a nice little facility.
Yep.
And the Transportation Commission. Yeah, so you get 3 meetings on. That's okay because all 3 meetings are different times. So you can go meeting to meeting, and the third one being the Transportation Commission. They're going to meet at 5 p.m. at the California Community Services Building. And here comes another one for you. Which I'm a little bit. I was very surprised when I started seeing this. They're going to talk about of course, the Burbank bus What's that mean?
The Burbank bus. That is the word of the week.
And the word of the week. That is actually one word. Burbank bus is one word. Although if you give us 2 words, we'll still take it. So if you send an email to contest@myburbank.com, and in the subject line you put Burbank bus. What can they win, Ross?
They can win a dinner or a gift certificate, actually, to Hill Street Cafe. And for that, we'll also include them in something else. I'm not sure what yet, but maybe our newsletter or something. But they'll get a certificate. All you got to do is mail My Burbank Talks.
No. Contest.
That's right.
myburbank.com.
And we will get you your gift card.
And what was the word again, Ross?
It was Burbank Buzz.
Well, I hope we milked that cow for a while, huh? Okay, so
just remember,
and I'm going to be talking.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
They're getting a report on this, and I started looking at, what they have now. The city of Burbank, they say, expects to receive $7.4 million. Which is mostly a half cent in sales tax money for their system, their transportation system. And that includes the Burbank bus system, fixed route senior and disabled transit, the First Street Class 4 bike lane, which they're putting in, and various street and bridge improvements throughout the city. The total budget for 23-24, remember they do on a fiscal year, which is July through June, is $9,993,000, so say $10 million is the annual budget. That's a lot of money. Now, they broke down the numbers, and in fact, we got our new fancy system here once again, and let's zoom this up a little bit, and they show the ridership of Burbank bus on here. And you'll see that they have the pink route, the orange route, and of course the green route is gone. No more green route. So all you got here is the pink and the orange routes. And it shows total ridership between the two. So basically what they have here is the pink route averages 326 riders per day. I broke it down. I looked at the number for the month, and then I divided it by 30. And it comes out to 326 a day. The orange line, 160 per day. So basically, that's less than 500 people a day, according to their figures, to take Burbank bus. Now, I got to tell you, when I look at Burbank bus, whenever I see a Burbank bus, they run every 15 minutes, I call them not Burbank bus, Burbank limousines. Because they're only carrying usually one person, maybe two. So, I just don't see that as a
incentive to.
Well, I mean, why do we have the Burbank bus now? I'll tell you what else that bothers me? Not my rant, but close to it. Ross and I have known each other for longer than the sun has come up, I think. Anyhow, years ago, he goes, why do we have this bus? Why don't we put trolleys in? And we could go put trolleys in and run them up Magnolia and up Olive or Burbank, up to the airport. We could run it all kinds of different trolleys in different areas. And what we could do is we could go to our studios, because we're the media capital of the world, and we could say, hey, Cartoon Network, why don't you make us a SpongeBob trolley? Hey, Warner Brothers, why don't you make us a Superman trolley? Hey, Disney, why don't you make us a Bugs Bunny trolley? And so on and so on. And I think these trolleys not only would get a lot more usage, but they'd be a tourist attraction. People would want to come all over saying, hey, I got to ride a SpongeBob trolley, or I got to run the Mickey Mouse trolley, or, and do selfies and promote the city and everything else. And somehow one of our city council members that you had dinner with one time, Bob Frutos, who we liked Bob, But he started talking to the council about it. Now the council says it was his idea. Well, council, it was not his idea.
Yeah.
Ross was on him over and over and over him.
Years ago.
And look at these Burbank buses we have now. Look how big they are. Why not have, if you want to continue the Burbank bus route, then why don't you use smaller buses? Maybe they should hold 20 people instead of 50 people. Because you don't have 50 people riding this bus. I don't think you can fill a bus up with 20 seats in it. I think it's time that, to rethink that and, put the bus program in half and let's start adding trolleys. And if you start having the studios sponsor a trolley, once again, we're the media capital of the world.
Well, what my thinking was there was we are the media capital of the world. We also have probably one of the biggest car converter people, West Coast Customs,
Right.
housed right here in Burbank. Take an idea from Warner Brothers, like you said, Roadrunner or Daffy Duck.
Beep, beep.
They have a Cartoon Network or SpongeBob, Nickelodeon, and get what are they running now? Natural gas or
Yeah.
one of those and convert it there. Get the money that we're dumping into this bus, make our own buses, vehicles, and
By the way, I do have a sound effect for us today. I forgot to put it on.
there goes that bus.
There goes that Burbank bus. But I think, if anything, uses the buses that we use for senior pickup, or much smaller buses, put those on the routes. Maybe they'll be less expensive or whatever it is. Run them less often, and let's figure that out. Because I just when I'm looking at the fact that we're going to spend, $5 to $7 million on these buses, and they say, well, it's money we're getting in from the county. Well, who funds the county? Ross, don't you pay sales tax when you buy something at the store?
Every time you go to any store, you pay a sales tax.
Yeah. And it's a half-cent sales tax that goes right to us for that.
Didn't we do that, a couple years ago? We've raised the amount of sales tax now.
Yeah.
We're over 10. So
We have Costco and all those places bring a ton of money in.
that's right.
So, okay, let's move on to one more meeting that night too. Water and Power is going to have it's not a meeting, it's a community meeting, I guess you would say.
Informational
From 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the, I keep want to say California, at the Community Services Building. And having their final meeting to talk about changes to the rules for using water in Burbank. All residents and businesses are invited to voice their thoughts and give input. Now, in case you didn't know, right now the stage we're on only lets people water in the wintertime, Saturdays only. And starting on April 1st, it goes to Tuesday and Saturday. Twice a week. And by the way, if you have your automatic sprinklers, shut them off this coming week. We're going to have a big rainstorm this coming weekend. You don't need to water while it's raining. Don't need to do it. You want to help save water? Okay, there you go. Turn them off for 1 week here.
But what I do see, people don't understand, a lot of the city property, Chandler Bike Path, the parks, here in the Media District, these flower beds, that's all recycled water.
Right.
That's different than...
Which does not apply to these rules and regulations because it's recycled water.
So people wonder why they water. It's raining out and it's water. That's recycled water. Yeah. It's reused.
And in case you are wondering, if you ever go around and you see hydrants that are painted purple, purple is for the recycled water. Means recycled water. Where blue means clean water. So that's how you can always tell the difference when you look at different plugs or anything else around the city. Okay, moving on. We move to Thursday. On Thursday, the Advisory Council on Disabilities is going to meet at 1:30 on Zoom. Zoom.
Zoom, zoom.
Wasn't there a TV show back in the day on Channel 11 or something called Zoom or something?
Was that what? Cartoon type.
Yeah, a kid show or something. I don't know.
We'll have to look that up on the Red Hole to show.
And the Infrastructure Oversight Committee will meet at 6 o'clock. And as of I wrote this out, they still had no agenda posted yet. But their agenda didn't need to be posted. I guess it was probably posted today. In fact, I can check real fast because we have all this great technology now. And the Infrastructure Board does have an agenda now. And let's see what they're going to talk about here. They're going to talk about... They only have one thing on their meeting here, and that's a proposed capital improvement project programs for 24-25 for the new fiscal year. So I'm sure that there's a ton of projects on there, which there always are. There's probably 60, 70 projects on there. You can go to the city's website and click on the infrastructure board and look at their agenda and look at all the projects going on. You will see that there are a lot of projects. In fact, I'm trying to look. I'm scrolling down right now, and I'm seeing. Holy cow! We're talking a lot of projects. So, but that's good. The infrastructure board is basically some very smart people that the city council's appointed. A lot of them are experts in their fields, and they really determine what needs to be fixed in Burbank. So they decide where the money should go and how much it should be spent and all those things, and they do a pretty good job at it. So we like that. Well, I think I have nothing for Friday. In fact, I have a pretty open weekend next week too. So we're kind of down to just one thing, and that's one thing only. And of course, that can only be
Ross's rant! Ross's rant! Ross's rant! I take a flamethrower to this place!
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Wow, that must be for me. Ross's rant.
that's it.
Well, it just gets me. I drive around this lovely community, and why people think they can just get a new mattress and take their king-size mattress and throw it out on the sidewalk. Today alone, I saw 5. I pulled into Verdugo Park. Why would somebody take, because illegal dumping, there's a mattress sitting next to the city trash dumpster.
Well, they put their Christmas tree there. They figure that's where the matches go to.
The San Fernando Road. You make that turn at east in front of the old Marlindo lanes, always a mattress out there. Going up Scott Road. You would think that if people are buying that many mattresses, but I've seen trucks, besides the city vehicles, that they take them and I guess they melt the metal down or whatever and they collect them. But it's an eyesore for our community. And then...
well, tell people what they can do.
All you got to do is that app on your phone.
311?
My Burbank, or not my Burbank, Burbank 311.
They wish they had the My Burbank name.
Yeah. And
Glendale did that. Glendale uses the My Glendale name.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
And the other rant that gets me is I'm noticing businesses are closing early now because nobody's in these office buildings. So restaurants close at 3 o'clock. And I lately noticed several of them. Are we ever going to get back to these offices being fully staffed? That's what caused a couple of restaurants to go out. But you wonder, it just kind of gets me because you want to eat somewhere, then you realize, they're still on the COVID schedule.
Well, even places like Talleyrand, they close after like 3 to 5 or something.
2 to 4, yeah, exactly.
Something like that. They're closed for a couple hours in the afternoon. And, once Warner Brothers built the Iceberg building, the 2 buildings on Alameda, the big white building and the green building are pretty much empty now, and because all those people moved into the Iceberg building. So there's really, And I believe that the white building that's there is still the tallest building in San Fernando Valley. At least it was.
The 30...
Was
No,
it
the
30?
concrete one is 3,800.
I'm thinking 30. No, I'm thinking the 3,900.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Now, I just saw the other day, there's a guy that does a video around town, and he was doing one near the Triangle building and talking about the marquees. Those aren't Warner Brother buildings anymore. They're Jeff Worth buildings. So they're, they're not occupied with Warner shows and so forth. But I'm told that Jeff Worth is working on putting something new up there.
Okay.
So those are my rants for the week. It's pet peeves that just kind of get me. I would, love for our city to be clean and pretty and all that. When you see stuff like that, mattresses, if they were clean mattresses, it'd be one thing. But, man, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me.
That's it. Well, that's it for another week. Next Monday we have a special announcement for everybody. And
besides April Fool's Day?
Well, yeah, no fooling. It's going to be somebody's birthday on Monday coming up.
Ooh,
and
I
also
love birthdays.
And also it becomes on April 1st is the month that you can vote for My Burbank's Best. And the ballots will be going up on Monday morning for that too. So it's Monday will be a big day for us, and be a birthday celebration to talk about. And that's kind of about it. So it was nice of everybody to tune in. Sorry for our little break or whatever, but hey, stuff happens.
We had a couple of technical things going on that,
as I say,
stuff happens.
That's right. But we also had some new technology in use.
Yeah. Trying
to catch up to the city on their technology. Hopefully we'll see Mr. Durling back soon.
I wish we had Legend to work for us,
Well, that's what I mean.
If we had Legend, he doesn't even listen to this, though. What are we're plugging Legend. He doesn't even care.
He's too busy.
Yeah, he was just being a legend. Okay, that's it. For Ross Benson.
As they say, tally ho, mally mo. Been a great show. Hey, that was all.
There you go. That even rhymed.
Wow.
This is Craig Sherwood saying goodbye, so long, and we'll talk to you next week.